Hello, Carlos. It's Aussie Villain. I'm good. I'm good. So, the season is finished. It was a great season, yeah, for sure. And the transfer window is about to open. So, yeah, no, it is a big summer for the club. Huge. Lots of big decisions to be made. And speaking of decisions, you're still thinking. Great. Great. Well, take your time. Hi guys, I'm Aussie Villain and welcome back to Queen of the South on the Impossible Dream as we look to win the Champions League with our Scottish club here. And today, well, it is a summer transfer special and we are still waiting on the decision of Carlos TEVEZ, what he is going to do. And we really do need a decision, so I know if I need to get in as sort of that star playmaker for us, or if that's kind of done and we can sort of focus our main objectives elsewhere, predominantly left back, I would suggest. But yeah, so we are still waiting on old Carlos here to make a decision. Hopefully that'll happen. So he does have a year left on his contract, so I'm hoping he'll at least honour that for us. That would be the nice thing to do, Carlos. Now, if we're going to have a quick look at our team report here, now we sort of touched on this last episode. We know there is a lot of reds. There's just a lot of reds. Pretty much, if you think of it, it's a weakness of the team. So there is a lot of work for us to do. Stephen Hendry is an unsuitable option at left back, on the left side of midfield. He's not a midfielder. Of course he's a bad option. But anyway, I think he's a bad option at left back for us as well. I mean, if you look at the team over here, Devlin has done his cruciate ligament again. He is just not going to stay with us. Iacoviti would be a centre-back option. Otherwise, I mean, Farouk and Mhand are both, they're both on loan, and Hand is definitely leaving. Farouk, I mean, I'm not going to renew his loan, I don't think, to start with, but Williams is leaving as well. So even the best 11 there isn't necessarily a good guide, I guess, of where we stand. So it's going to be a big summer. It's going to be an important summer. Another thing I would like to do is to actually give us the option of wingers. Fitzpatrick has an option to be purchased by Stoke. We don't have anybody on the left side, and we don't have anybody else that can play right wing, really. Yeah, no, we don't. I mean, Patton could maybe go over and play as a right winger. So I wouldn't mind giving us an option to go to wingers at some point. But yeah, well, we'll see how we go. Actually, Spittle could play as a winger, couldn't he? Anyway, it's going to be a big summer. We haven't got a budget as of yet, but also the league playoffs haven't finished, so we haven't got our money yet for the league campaign. The guaranteed minimum budget is 25 grand and 18 grand a week, so that's gone up a little bit. So that's good. We are at minimum going to have a little bit of wage room to play with. What's that, about $1.5 grand a week? So one decent player. So yeah, let's hope the Queen opens the purse strings and we'll be back, well, at least when we get a budget so we know what we're working with. Okay, so the Queen has now set the budget for us, and it's an improvement. 25.5 grand a week, which will give us, well, I say it was 16, so about 9,000 extra pounds a week to spend on wages. And we've got just under $500,000 to spend in a transfer budget as well. So that is, I wouldn't want to say very generous of her, but it's certainly an improvement on what we have been getting. So not bad, to be honest. You know, we're still not established in the league, although I think we'll be okay in the league. So yeah, we're gonna have to put some of that budget into a scouting budget, I think, so we can find better players, because there's no point having a transfer budget if you don't know who you're signing. But it's okay, we can work with this. All right, so a little bit of housekeeping for the end of the Scottish season. Fairy tale stuff in the Scottish Cup. Celtic went on and beat Dundee in the final. I believe it was 1-0, so well done to them. Ange Postecoglou and myself, it's an Aussie 1-2 in the Manager of the Year award, so well done, Ange. We'll get you next year, mate. The scholars have been announced, so there we go. These are the... Okay, so this is who we've signed of the youth graduates. So there we go. Again, I do like to name these guys after the Patreon supporters. So if you are a qualifying Patreon supporter and someone there takes your fancy, those are the scholars. That's new for this season, isn't it? And the people that missed out. And we've been hit with a tax bill, which is annoying. And the commercial summary, since I didn't get to show you last episode because the season review didn't work, our sponsorship was actually down last season, which is a bit annoying considering we got promoted. But corporate hospitality was way up, match day revenues were way up, broadcast revenues were way up, and competition prize money again was way up. Roy, Furyk, Patton, Goss, and Spittle were the top shirt sales. How is TEVEZ not our number one shirt sale? surely he would be the top of that list. And if we look at finances at the end of the season, just under 2 million after the tax money was taken out, and it's all looking good. No, mate, no, the Queens is just the name of the club. We're not a team of drag queens. Yeah. Hey, watch your mouth. How dare you? That's our queen, and she's a beautiful woman. Hello? Carlos, what's happening, mate? Have you made your decision? I see. And you sure about this? Alright, I understand. Oh, no, mate, you are a terrible head of youth development. That won't be happening. So there we go. The decision has been made. TEVEZ has officially announced his retirement. I don't think I've maybe what's the word? We haven't been not long enough in this series for me to have the reputation to make him reconsider. And you know, he's also 39, so you know it's probably time, isn't it? So well done to Carlos TEVEZ. I did try to offer him a contract to be a coach with us, an under-18s coach. He wants to be a head of youth development and nothing else. And I mean, God love you, Carlos. You are a terrible head of youth. He'd set the club back years. So we're just going to have to let him go, unfortunately. But yeah, the Carlos TEVEZ era at Queen of the South has drawn to a close. All right, so a quick update. We are at June 1st, which means contracts have expired. Now, a little bit like last year at the Welders, the contracts expire at the end of May. So we've still got a month to go before the majority of contracts expire. But we have released, you can see there are a few players. Josh Ray, he was kicking up a stink because he wanted to play and he didn't like me, so we just let him go. He's decent. I mean, Hibs want him. He had a bit of potential, but he was just a problem, to be honest, so we let him go. The other one's Devlin. It looks like he's actually retired now, so that's maybe a bit of a shame. Is he a decent coach? Could we get him back? Because he's a terrible coach. I don't think we'll get him back, if I'm honest, guys. But anyway, yeah, he's obviously ACL for the third time. Was it ACL? It was one of them anyway. He did a cruciate ligament, so we just let him go. Now, one bit of news of an in, or a continuation of an in, and that is that Josh Thomas is back for another year. Now, we have to pay wages this time around, so £825 a week for that. I just felt like as a pressing forward, he was very hot and cold, but he did have some good games for us. So £800 is not the end of the world. So we got him in. I didn't want to pay 200 grand for him because that's obviously half our transfer budget as it stands. And I didn't think he was quite that good. But £800 a week, we'll swallow that. And yeah, he's back again next season as a striking option. David, what are you doing here, mate? You're thinking of retiring as well? Well, that's maybe for the best, mate. Maybe for the best. Why would I try and talk you out of it? Mate, that's because TEVEZ was still good. So there we go. David Wheater has announced his retirement, which is, to be honest, a good thing. I didn't really want him around on £900 a week for an extra season. He was, let's be honest, he was a useful player for us, wasn't he? I don't regret signing him at all. I think he did well. He basically was a big part of us getting promoted, I think, in the end, wasn't he? Coming in and playing in the defence. And he didn't disgrace himself in the Premiership, but I think his time had essentially come, hadn't it? Now, staff attribute-wise, he is potentially useful. You know, a National A-League, he wants to be a coach. So I do think we might try and keep him around and get his coaching badges up and see exactly what sort of coach he becomes. But it's not great with working with youth. But potentially, tactical and defensively, he could be a useful coach. So, yeah, like I say, we will offer him the opportunity to stay at the club as a coach. Whether he takes it or not, I guess, is going to be down to him, isn't it? I don't really want to use an under-18s coach. We have an under-21 squad, don't we? No, we don't. All right, well, I wonder if we just need to bite the bullet here. Anyway, I'll do this off camera and I'll let you know if he signs. All right, a quick catch up here. TEVEZ has officially announced his retirement. Well, officially retired, I should say. So that's the end of him in game. He wasn't willing to stay with us. So that is that. He wants even £1,000 a week to be a bad head of youth development. So that's how his career ends up. Did really, really well for us, didn't he? Really good player. And yeah, it just adds Queen of the South to some other illustrious clubs in which he had played for. And the other man who is now officially retired is Wheater. Now, we have offered him the job of under 19's assistant manager. He does have some decent assistant manager sort of attributes there. So I think what we'll do is our current assistant manager at that level is rubbish. So I think what we'll do is hopefully he'll accept the contract. We'll offer. I mean, he's agreed to it. You know, we're just waiting for him to confirm it, kind of thing. and then that will be him at the club, and we can kind of train him into hopefully someone for the first team. Maybe not quite as an illustrious career as TEVEZ, but certainly at his level, he did have a very good professional career, didn't he? So that's the end of those two guys, which obviously also leaves some holes in the squad. Now, we've gone in for a few players of which we've missed out, but one that we did get was Ben Summers. Now, this is more one for the future than for this coming season, but we've got him on a free transfer, £250 a week. You can see potentially there could be a Premiership quality player there for us. There's the rest of his contract details. He'll get a pay raise as he plays games for us. Let's have a look at him. He is coming to us from Celtic B, and he's not too bad. He'll be on the fringes of the first team this coming season, I think. He's an attacking midfielder. Could he be the TEVEZ replacement long term? Almost certainly not, but I don't know anybody will be for a long, long time. But he can pass, good technique, decent first touch. That's got some good mental stats there for a midfielder as well. So yeah, he's not going to be running the midfield for us in any time soon, but he could be useful. Played League 2, okay, not too badly. Played for Celtic B well last season, so we'll see what we get. But that is Ben Summers. Certainly not the last signing we'll make this summer. Well, it better not be anyway. All right, we have our first signing of the summer. It's McDade, but not that one. It is Declan McDade. We've signed him £11,000 up front. You can see there's 2 add-ons there, 50 games. And if we qualify for the Europa Conference League of 20 grand, which isn't ideal, as Gus decides to leave. But it is what it is. In case he doesn't work out, so we're not paying too much. But he's on £800 a week. We can see the rest of his contract details there. Now, we've signed him from Greenock Morton, was it? Yes, Greenock Morton. Let's have a look at him. Now, this is a winger. I said I wanted to try and get some width options in the club for us, so he can play on either side. Now, if we want to play him as inverted winger and inside forward, he's not the worst finisher, so we should be able to do that. And obviously, if we want to play him, he's right-footed, so if we want to play him down the right-hand side, he can dribble and cross. He's got a nice little bit of pace about him. I think he'll be a useful wing option. Is he going to win the league for us? Obviously not. But I think he could be a nice little addition. And we can see his career there. He was League 1 last year. Did fine in League 1. He's not really ever played at the Premiership level. He's been a regular sort of League 1 Championship. So it's a big step up for him. So we'll kind of see how he goes. And hopefully he'll do well. And if not, we've paid 11 grand for him up front, and we can just bin him off, and he shouldn't cost us any more than that. So that's one signing in. Hopefully many more to come. All right, a quick update. We did get David Wheater back. He has signed as the under-18s assistant manager. We've already sent him on a coaching course, so we'll see exactly how he develops. If he's going to be a coach with us long term, it's not going to be in the youth teams. He needs to be sort of first team ready. So we'll just see how he gets on. And the other bit of news to catch you up on is we have got our draw for the Betfred. Now, again, I'm just going to use this very much as part of pre-season. So I'll just sort of show you the highlights probably before we begin next episode. But yeah, we'll see how we do. We should be able to get out of that group. There's 2 championship clubs there, but we'll see how it goes. And I should also mention, speaking of the Championship, that Motherwell were relegated, but so was St Mirren. Ross County actually beat them in the playoff. So the 2 teams coming up to the Premiership for next season are Inverness Caledonian Thistle and Ross County. So there's 2 up, which should help us because, that's hopefully going to be the 2 teams that fill the relegation places. All right, so we have made a signing. Ava is very, very excited about this. Frankie Masonda has joined us. We've got him 22 grand, £350 a week from newly promoted. Oh, no, Wraith Rovers aren't newly promoted. No, that's Ross County. I'm getting my Wraiths, and now Morty's here as well. The whole family has come for this signing. It's very, very exciting. Frankie Masonda, 25 years old. You can see there. He's just going to be a backup option for us. Ava, I can't see. You're pulling my glasses. So we'll see how he goes. I'm thinking back up to Alafunwa and to Iacoviti. But £350 a week. I really don't think we can go wrong. So there we go. Let me know what you think of that. And it's very full in here. All right, the family is cleared out, and we have another signing to announce. It's a free transfer. It's Colby Bishop. We've signed him. He was at, I want to say, was at Accrington Stanley. The fans, sorry, don't particularly like this. A C plus. We're paying him 2.7 grand a week. If we go and have a look at the rest of the ins and outs of his contracts, you can see it there. And this is what we should ask Roy to welcome what could well be his replacement in the squad. What I like about him is that he's just a bit of an all-rounder. He's got good work rate and teamwork compared to sort of our other strikers, so that should help him. Good off the ball, he's heading, and he's got good finishing, or relatively good anyway. Physically, he's nothing special, but he's relatively well-rounded. I think he's just a good all-round player, and he could, at a pinch, drop back in because passing and vision isn't the worst either. So I just think he's a good all-round player. Now, they're worried about his lack of form in goals. League 2 in England last season, he got 13 in 41. Not ideal. I think he's a better player than that. I'm hoping he's a better player than that because 2.7 grand a week is quite the commitment for us. If we have a look at our finances, still got a lot to go in transfer budget. Wage budget, we're getting up there now with about 4 grand a week left. What we can obviously do is move some of the transfer budget over into wages, and we'll probably have to do that because most of our signings are either going to be cheap guys that are already on the transfer list or more likely free transfers. So we're still looking. We desperately need a left back. We could probably do with a more defensive right back, and Morty's here again. So, yeah, I'll be back when hopefully we've signed those. All right, we have another signing, and at Queen of the South, it's only right we signed Football Manager royalty. It is Callum Gribben. If you haven't signed him in early editions from Manchester United on loan, you haven't lived, basically. Have you even played Football Manager? 30 grand, we've signed him from Colchester. We're paying him £600 a week. Now, you can see potentially there is a good player there, but we know that. Don't we? Let's have a look at him here. As emergency backup, he's signed as I say, £600 a week. You can see the rest of his contract there. Let's have a look at old Callum. Now, the reason that I've signed him is basically free kick taking. He'll deliver a good corner, but I'm just thinking as backup in a game that maybe we're struggling to win, we can bring him off the bench with that free kick taking. And I just think he could be a useful player to have around. Now, is he gonna again be a first team player for us? I highly doubt it. If I'm completely honest, I think we already have better players at the club. But we'll see how he gets on. Last few seasons at League 2 Colchester, he's played 1 game, so it doesn't bode well, does it? But 30 grand, I think we can afford to take the punt. That was punt, and you can see there is a potential add-on if he plays 50 games. So if he works out and he's a success, we'll more than double the fee. We'll almost double the fee. No, we will double it plus. Anyway, you can see 55 grand. So if he works out, it'll cost us, but 30 grand up front. Let me know what you think. I think it's worth the risk. All right, we have another signing. It is a loan signing. It is Harvey Ajuro. I've got to get better names to sign, don't I? But we've signed him on loan from Fulham for the year. He's costing us a little bit, 2,100 in wages, and if we don't pay him, it's an extra 3 grand a month. I don't think it'll be a problem because I've signed him to be our first choice left back. Let's have a look at him. And what he is solid defensively. He can pass the ball. He's not weak in the air, so we shouldn't have an issue with balls to the back post resulting in goals as we tended to get with Hendry last year. And he's not the worst header. The downfall there a little bit is strength, and he's not the quickest. But without giving too much away, I think we're going to be changing the formation for this coming season. So pace, I don't think is going to be a big deal. He can whip across in more or less. So I think it's all going to roughly work out, and he'll be a good solid signing for us. He hasn't played a game before. But yeah, again, let me know what you guys think. But he's capped at under 19 level. I think he's going to work out. Well, at least I hope he does, because he's going to be our first choice left back. All right, we have another signing, a permanent signing this time. It is Kyle McAllister, who I'm fairly sure scored against us last season, but he was relegated St Mirren, so we've gone in and snapped him up 55 grand. You can see there potentially rising up to 77 with games and goals. Fans don't love him, but it's only £750 a week, which I think is more than fine. He's potentially, if not already, a good Premiership player, and he's kind of proven at this level as well. So let's have a look at him. And what we're going to look to do is left-footed. I wanted a left-footed player, so we're going to look to use him over here. Maybe a little bit deeper as well. We're going to kind of retrain him as just basically a left winger. He's not going to go any further back than that because he can't tackle. But I think he could be useful for us. He signed as an emergency backup as well, so he's going to be happy not playing, which is perfect. And you can see last year in the Premiership, 7 goals. He didn't maybe miss the year through injury, but he's been a Premiership what I was trying to say, English Championship level player for most, if not all, of his career. So that's, that's the sort of level that we want, isn't it? So I think he could be a smart, maybe a nice little sneaky signing. Let's go with that. So that is McAllister, another of our queens. All right, so we have reached game day of our first game of the Premiership season, which is at home to newly promoted Ross County, and our second game away to Rangers. So that'll be next episode. As you can see, pre-season, not a lot of green there. So let's have a look at the squad that we have here coming forward. And spoiler alert for next episode, we're going to try a good old-fashioned 4-4-2. I was trying to figure out the best way to get a little bit more width in the team with wingers, but also play the two strikers up top. It just kind of makes sense, doesn't it? 4-4-2. So this is sort of the squad depth that we have. Right now, strikers, Ali Roy, who we've had one good season and one poor season out of. Let's hope he gets back to a good season. Lee Connolly, and also McAllister, though he will play, and he doesn't really, he's still learning the position, but out was wide left. That's where we'll look to see him. One of the new boys, again, is Colby Bishop. I think he could be an important player for us this year. We've also got Rory Patton, who swept up the end of season awards last episode, didn't he? And then Thomas, of course, who's back on loan this season. So I think we've got a good little bit of depth. If you kind of take McAllister out of that list, we've got five to play two positions, sorry. And I think that's a fairly good depth that we have up front. Now, if we look down the right-hand side, Bradley is more of a fullback, but he's an attacking player, so he could easily play as a right winger as well. Fitzpatrick comes back into favour. He is going to be, hopefully, an important player for us this season. He has withdrawn his request to leave. We've kind of made up. His contract is up at the end of the season, so we'll need to resolve that. He's not quite willing to forgive us enough to discuss a new contract yet. Rory Patton, he can play out here as well. Again, we'll look to use him as a striker, but he's definitely an option out there. Blair Spittle, again, someone who can play out there. I like him. I just can't figure out what he is. But one thing he might be is a winger. So we'll find out this season, I'm sure. And the other one is one of the new boys, Declan McDade, who is a winger that can play both sides, but he's right-footed. So ideally, he'd be nicely suited to play out there. Over on the left, McDade is an option. McAllister, as I said, is the left-footed option, as is Callum Gribben. Not quite a winger, is he? But if we need to figure out somewhere to stick him to get his set pieces in the team, maybe left wing wouldn't be the worst choice. So, yeah, we'll kind of see what happens with him. Then centre of the park, we've got some good players here. We've got Tyler Morton. We've got Harry Cochran, who was briefly unhappy with me, but we've solved our issues, and hopefully he's going to sign the new contract as well. It's kind of agreed. It's just he's got to actually accept it. We've also got Elliot, who is one of the high potential youngsters. We did have bids coming in for him from Hearts, I think it was. I don't want to sell him because there is a bit of potential there, sort of up to and beyond Morton's level. The other guys in midfield, Sean Goss, who scored what I'm assuming is going to be voted goal of the season for last year. It was a disgustingly good goal, so I'm sure that'll be goal of the season. Spittle can play in the middle of the park, as can Callum Gribben, as can Murray Miller, who is still around, though I'm not sure how long just being Australian is going to keep him at the club, if I'm honest. He may need to leave. A little bit further back, and this is where I think we still have a little bit of work to do. Bradley is a good attacking fullback. Whether we do need somebody a little bit more defensively solid when we play the better teams in the league. Blair Spittle, I've been retraining him in that role, and he wasn't terrible there last year, but I don't think he's probably not the man. And Masonda, one of the new boys, he can play out there, though almost certainly will not. Over on the left-hand side, we've got Hendry, who will be the backup. He will be the backup to, let me have another go at this, Aralujo, and I think he could prove to be quite a good signing for us. And the other option is Bailey Dull. Now, if we could get maybe somebody else in, I'd be tempted. I don't want to sell him, but I would be tempted to loan him out to see if he can reach a bit more potential. I think playing a 4-4-2 might help him a little bit too, actually, because he's not the best getting forward, but he is not too bad defensively. He's not great defensively, but he's not too bad. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, he's just a prospect. Centre backs, Iacoviti, I think is going to be his club captain for this year as well. Iacoviti. We've also got Olafunwa as a centre back. I think those two will be at this point our first choice. Good old Harvey can play centre back if we need him to, but the other two main guys are Nditi who, as soon as the promise is up where I won't sell him, I'm going to try and sell him again. His contract's up the end of this year. I'm tempted to even just maybe try and sell him now and get what we can for him. And Musonda as well. I do think we need at least one more centre-back and probably a right-back as well, because Musonda's not a right-back. Let's forget that. I don't really think Blair Spittle is either. And if we're looking for someone that's a little bit more defensively solid to play the likes of Rangers and Celtic, that's, I think, what we need to do. And maybe, I say, maybe a left back. I'm not convinced that Hendry is quite good enough for the Premiership. He's not been the player I was hoping for. Goalkeeper, we've got to Eastwood, who, to be honest, I've not been able to find any goalkeeper that is better than him. I am actively looking for a goalkeeper, but no one has been better than Eastwood. So for now, he will hold on to that number one spot. And Lewis B will be his backup. He's got a little bit of potential, but the plan was actually to get somebody else in to be number one. Eastwood becomes the backup, and maybe we look to loan him out for a year and just see if he's going to develop. He did play most of the games in the League Cup, and well, we didn't get through. So that tells you roughly he wasn't. He's maybe not going to be the guy that we were hoping he would be. But that's the squad that we have to start the season. Now, of course, there's still about a month to go in the window, and we saw at the end of last season that we could get a lot of good guys in late in the window for not paying any wages. So in terms of finances, we are pretty much, well, we're actually over our budget. How am I over the budget by $5,000 a week? Anyway, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? We can always take money out of the transfer budget, so that's fine. We'll wait and see. I know there's a couple of guys I've offered contracts to that haven't agreed yet, and I'll show you those, but I can't believe I'm $5,000 a week. Oops. Anyway, we're not going too badly there, and as I say, we've got maybe some others coming in. But let me know what you guys think. How you think we'll do this season. We should be good enough to stay up, I would think. The team is certainly no worse or less than TEVEZ, but I think the change of formation, I'm hoping anyway, that the change of formation will make it a little bit easier for us to absorb, let's say, the loss of TEVEZ. Or Bishop's going to be our vice captain too. He would have been captain, but it's his first year at the club, so I didn't want to do that. Yeah, but I think this maybe makes it a little bit easier to... We're not going to replace TEVEZ at this point, so I think the best way to do it is find another way, and I'm hoping this is the way, although two central midfielders, we might get overrun in there. But anyway, that we'll find out, won't we, as the season begins, which is what will happen next episode. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thumbs up if you've enjoyed this. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll get our second season in the Premiership underway next episode. Take care.